Well, hello, partner.
Hi.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Thank you so much. So your thoughts about the whole thing?
I think it's great. You know, the challenge is you know, you're absolutely right, where things do get, you know, they get very censored once they get to you.
Yes.
And, you know, dealing with the quality of life concerns downtown, you know, they've really just reached a high tension probably in the last 8 months. But even in the last 60 days, they have reached a level that in the 10 years I've been here, I have never seen it at that level.
Okay.
And, you know, I know some of the conversation even today, you know, the challenge is when we do these type of ride-alongs and have these kind of conversations is we try to keep them really quiet.
Right.
We don't want anyone to know about them because we want you and we want, you know, our city leaders to see things how we see them.
Right.
And the challenge is, you know, if there's any word that you're even in the area, I mean, we kind of have a joke over in this neighborhood in downtown that we can always tell when a dignitary is coming because, I mean, they come in and things get swept. People get moved, and you don't have an opportunity to see what we see. This is the stew pot, of course, which is a very common area for a large amount of people to be gathered. You know, one of the challenges in this area overall is it's a high concentration of K2 use. You know, when we get over to West End, there's another area over there that's a high concentration, but you know, you see a lot of erratic behavior in this area. You know, people passed out along the sidewalks.
Who are the people? Because I'm hearing different things. First, I hear it's the homeless using K2 that people see mostly, but I also hear other young people, not homeless, are using K2 as well. Are you seeing one or the other?
Homeless.
You're seeing homeless.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of the same people. You know, you see the people that are lying on the sidewalk or going back and forth from, I mean, there's almost like a trail. I can see the same person sometimes 5 times a day. I can see them at the bridge. I can see them walk down the street past the stew pot, go over to Commerce, 7-Eleven, and then I'll go in the afternoon to the West End and they're there. So, of course, this is very, you know, popular area to see large amount of people either sleeping in the street, gathering, loitering. You know, what you do see a little bit more over here is you see a little bit more of what I would call predators. You know, people who are, you know, preying on some of the quality of life. You know, a challenge right now is the bridge is full. So, you know, if the police come at night and they want to, you know, the police want to
sweep the area or whatever.
Or
you know,
take them into the bridge. You know, the staff now at the bridge are, is it okay for me to roll the window down?
Yeah.
You know, the staff at the bridge are now directing the people across the street to the Dallas Heritage Village. You know, this is our city park. It's owned by the city. It's a historical area. They get a tremendous amount of children that come here with school trips. You know, this is a relatively new thing. This has just kind of popped up in the last, I would say, September, October. But, you know, it's sort of an indication where Tent City is sort of breaking up into subcategories, if you will. But, you know, for the neighbors that live over here, for our park, for the kids that come to the area, you know, we have all these people sleeping in these tents, and you know, the amount of trash, human waste, it's just really a bad situation.
What are some of the things you think we ought to be doing as a city to deal with just this specifically and just kind of the overall problem in general?
Well, you know, there's a couple things. One, our shelter's full. You know, the model that the shelter was designed for, people that it was designed for, the number of people, maybe the services. You know, maybe when it was built, I mean, it's like anything with a company, with a product, with, you know, I mean, you know, with the staff, a team, sometimes you have to adapt and change things when you recognize that maybe that isn't quite working. And I think we need to recognize that we need to do some different things with that. Certainly housing, mental health. You know, we have allowed the Tent City situation to get to this point. You know, it's really escalated in the last few months. They've added bathrooms. They've added, you know, public toilets, trash dumpsters. You know, they've been cleaning, and instead of helping, it actually made it a lot worse. You know, it's really going to take some really it's going to take really strong leadership.
Okay.
You know, I've heard a quote that you like to use, and I've actually kind of stolen it.
Uh-oh. Got an offense.
Because I thought it was so great that when somebody said it to me and said that that was one of your quotes, I thought, that is so true, that leadership is a contact sport.
It is so much.
I hear that that's one of your favorite quotes.
Yeah. I got some elbows to, bruises. And
leadership is a contact sport. That is, I mean, what we need with the situation, with the quality of life, with the panhandling, with the tent city, with the need for housing, the need to deal with some of these mental challenges, we need really strong leadership. We need people to recognize that what has worked in the past doesn't work now, and that we have to fix it. We have to talk about it.
So you're on a subject that's near and dear to my heart. So every major urban city in the country their core is struggling with homelessness, panhandling, tent cities. You go anywhere. I was recently in Portland, Oregon, vacation, homeless everywhere.
Yeah.
And so if you dial this all the way back, have you any thoughts about what's happened recently to increase the homeless population in the central part of the city, downtown? That's the symptoms you're describing. Symptoms of, people are going here to the park. Those are symptoms. What do you think is, if you dialed everything back and got to the least common denominator, what would that be as far as the increase in this problem that you're describing about homelessness, panhandling, mental illness, all downtown?
Three major things that I've seen in the last 9 years. First, when I first got involved downtown, there was a few hundred people there, and now there's 10,000, and then there's going to be 15, and there's going to be 20. But today, we went from a few hundred to 10,000. And, I even know in my area of town how far we've come. There was a time after 5 o'clock at night, there was no people there.
Right.
So, and there was quality of life, there was homeless, and there was street people, but there wasn't
anybody to aggravate.
Right. So it was the rules of the street. If people got into fights, if they slept, if they, did whatever, there was nobody there. It was just an office town. Now you have people who are
impacted by it.
Who are impacted by it. You have people
aggressively panhandled, or they might get robbed.
You have people who are living here. You have people who have families. You have people who have dogs who are, out going to a restaurant, and they're physically moving around. And all of a sudden, there's people here after 5 o'clock.
So there might be a slight increase in the homeless population, panhandling population, but a large increase in people living here.
Yes.
Thus, the impact is greater.
Yes.
Felt greater.
Yes.
So right now,
number one.
that's number one. And our solution right now, we're working toward trying to enforce or arrest our way out of it as kind of one aspect of this. Oh, here we are at Tent City.
So Tent City, this goes deep this way.
Right.
Deep that way.
Right.
On the other side, deep. You see large groups of people gathered. They run fires.
Yep.
I've talked to the fire department. They are down here constantly.
Yes, they are.
You can see fire and smoke from the street.
Yes.
When you go to this underpass, you can actually see scorching from the fire.
Right.
There's a tent down here. You can't see it in the dark. There's a tent down here right now that's probably 1,000 square feet. It's like a circus tent.
Right.
So, you've got disease down here. You've got, a strong criminal element. But, this has just gotten to this point recently where it's at this level.
What, 6 months?
Yeah.
Right.
And, it used to be a few, but now it just extends for 3 blocks.
So most of it is under the bridge.
Yes.
Do you see that as TxDOT property or city property? Private property? So you understand that it's TxDOT property. Okay. I didn't know how much regular folks seeing that understood.
And the city and the TxDOT supposedly had an agreement, and TxDOT came in for 2 months and have cleaned once a week. It costs $8,000 a week every time they clean it. They thought it was going to cost X amount. This is my understanding. It's actually costing X amount, and as of last week, they stopped doing it.
Right.
So
what does that mean to you when TxDOT said they need to hear this? Because I want to make sure the public and people downtown understand.
If I was TxDOT, I would think I have a extreme liability, because you have these cottages, which we just drove by. The cottages that are being built for the homeless are within 20 feet of where there are fires.
And so, the poor is somebody that people of faith feel like they're helping when they hand them $10, $20,
I know.
$30 at the intersection, and they look like they're in need. But you don't ever see that money being used to actually help them.
I see them in the 7-Eleven buying 20 ounces.
Okay.
You give them $5, they go in and they buy a 20 ouncer, and then they come out, and then they wait, and then they get another $5, and they go in and they buy another 20 ouncer. So, you know, or they go buy a K2 for $1 or $2.
Right. Great. I love this conversation, Tanya, by the way.
You know, one thing that we are extremely fortunate to have is a very engaged, involved council member.
Right.
You know, Councilmember Medrano has been really the driving force in a lot of the revitalization that you see happening downtown, you see happening on this side of town.
Right.
He's really pushed for us to speak up about some of the crime and quality of life concerns.
Right.
You know, he's a big advocate of, you know, wanting to talk about things that are a problem.
Right.
And he is extremely accessible and engaged. I mean, we see him all the time out in the area. It's really, you know, it's extremely helpful to have, you know, a council member and a city leader in our district that's so engaged with the community.
Yeah, you know, he's recently challenged me quite a bit, you know. So one of the challenges that I am going to get in shape first, but I'm gonna rise to the level. He's challenged me to a one-on-one basketball game.
Oh no!
Yeah, he thinks he can play basketball, right? He thinks he can ball.
I hear he's pretty good.
I heard he's real good. And so here recently, he looked at me, gave me that look like, when we gonna play, Chief? And so I just want to be on the record that I'm ready for you, Adam. You just let me know when and where, but just give me a month because I'm a little older than him, and we're gonna have at it. Yeah. First person to 10, win by 2.
Can I come and watch?
Yes, I want to video it because it's gonna be. I'm going to school him.
Yeah.
On street basketball. Yeah. I'm from Oak Cliff, so this is personal, highly personal. He's challenged an Oak Cliff old school basketball player to a game. So I just want to get that plug in, Adam. So go ahead.
I bet those tickets would sell quickly.
Yeah. I'm getting a pair of basketball shoes this weekend, and we're gonna be in training. So we can loop around and get back to that 7-Eleven. Because that parking lot on the side is kind of where you want to. Yeah. I see that all the time.
Actually, I just had an incident there yesterday morning. Ironically.
Really?
Yes.
What happened?
You know, my two 7-Elevens, I kind of go back and forth between Deep Elm and downtown, so I tend to hit that one on Elm, and I hit the one on Commerce. Right. And yesterday morning, I popped into that 7-Eleven, and they've got a really good manager. His name's Tom. But as I left the store, an individual approached me and acted like he knew me. But he was sort of in my face, yelling at me that he knew me, but it was confrontational. And, you know, my first thought is, does he know me? Right. You know, I'm confused, and he's getting too close. So I get in my car, and he starts tapping on my window and trying to access the vehicle.
Wow. Had you locked it already?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, meanwhile, the other panhandler that's also standing there is waving at me that the guy's crazy and that I need to leave. Right. So, I call 911, and then I immediately call the store manager. Good. Well, 911 responds quickly.
Good.
And,
that's good to hear.
You know, determine that the person is someone new, they don't recognize him. You know, he's crazy, but not crazy to hurt himself.
The officer gets there pretty quickly?
Yes.
Okay, and
they issue him a warning and tell him he has to leave.
Okay. Because he had not committed a crime other than annoy you.
Well,
scared you. He hadn't touched you or taken anything from you.
He was threatening. He was, you know, trying to, but there was not a reason at that time that the officer could arrest him, and they couldn't. He wasn't showing a level of wanting to harm himself to take him anywhere. Right. So they tell him he has to leave. Okay. He goes down the street and starts chasing another woman down the street. Oh, really? She calls 911. The operator asks if it's the same woman, guy, or if it's the same woman calling, but it's a different woman. So then, apparently, how the situation ended is he went into a business and either trying to get behind the counter. Well, ultimately they ended up APOWing him.
I wonder if he's on K2.
No, he was on crack.
Was he really? It sounds like he was having an episode. But you did something that I want to share with other
Always call
people.
911.
Yeah, but you also did something that you didn't even think about. You locked your door when you got in your car. A lot of people get in their car and they're trying to get situated from either coming out of the store or getting ready to get and their door's unlocked. And somebody can just open the door and get in.
If it was unlocked, he could have gotten in.
Yeah, so it's really important. Crime prevention tip number 1, when you get in your car from or to the store or anywhere, lock it first. Lock the door right away.
Also for women, women tend to be very friendly. You know, somebody approaches them and they don't want to come across rude or unfriendly. You know, downtown right now, it's so important as women that we don't feel that we need to be friendly. We need to be guarded.
Yeah, I told another city employee this very same thing. You know, we were talking about an incident up in North Dallas. I said, listen, you got to be firm. Let your no mean no, and that you don't want to talk to people, and don't feel bad that you were rude, because some people who are mentally ill need that firmness. When you say no, that stops them. They move on down the road. But if you're inviting and want to be nice, they feel invited to continue their aggressiveness.
Yeah, and don't feel like you need to give money. Also, people frequently will give money to panhandlers because they feel threatened or they feel scared. And by giving them money, they can get them to go away.
That is not good to do that.
No.
So, great. So it's empty right now, but normally they're hanging around the blind side because you walk up from parking, you won't see them, and they're on you.
Sometimes they're in the dark, but often they'll even be right up in the front.
So we need some more lighting on the back side of 7-Eleven. What's the deal with their lighting? That's a very dim light there, and they got the camera there, but they need a brighter light.
This is the other challenge: the brighter light, but also when the panhandlers see police pull up, they step onto the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So they have realized that when they are on the sidewalk, that it is a public place.
Yeah, we can't enforce on private property when we're on the public place.
So my question is, how do we, if you need to see a panhandler in the act?
Yeah, we talked about this today. Yeah, because I wasn't satisfied with our recent activity. So I look at it every day. What did y'all do today with the quality of life team? And how many tickets they wrote, how many people they arrested. So I said that plan A won't work, because when they see you, they stop doing it. You won't ever see it. We got to get in a plainclothes capacity, like spotters.
Right.
Have your enforcement team out of sight. Let officers in plainclothes see the activity and call up the enforcement team to take the action. Otherwise, you'll always be a day late and a dollar short, right? So we are redirecting our strategy, because I'm wanting to see a lot of activity from our quality of life enforcement team so that we can send a message. Yeah. Because I want to be able to call you and say, is it much different, a little bit different, and hear you say much different. Right? That it's a big improvement. And I will
tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this is my 24/7 environment. This is a 24/7 environment for a lot of us that live downtown, work downtown, play downtown. You know, we see it. So if there's a difference, we will see it, and we will let you know.
Okay,
for sure.
Great.
You know, we have so many one-ways downtown that, you know, again, if you're a panhandler and you're an aggressive panhandler, you stand on the corner, you can see a police car coming from 3 blocks away, and either step on the sidewalk or go around the corner. Yeah. So how do you enforce it? It's difficult.
We've got to get in a plainclothes capacity where you don't see us coming, and then be close enough in a marked capacity to get there quick to take the enforcement action once the plainclothes officer identifies the criminal violation. And so we'll adjust our strategy. I'm hopeful you'll see a lot of improvement here in the next few days, and then it'll be sustained, and it'll be the new normal. The new normal ought to be, you don't see the same aggressive panhandlers. You don't see some of the chronic locations always having panhandling. You'll see a big improvement. Tell me about the officers that work downtown. You have good opinion, bad opinion, indifferent, not sure yet. I know you brag on Lonzo. I got Lonzo down. Anybody else? I love Lonzo too. So, Major Anderson, you got a shameless plug from.
We love Major Anderson.
What about just the regular beat cops that work in the downtown area?
You know, there's been a lot of changes recently with the addition of the First Watch, which we need. Yeah. You know, we have had some community officers, specifically on the southeastern side of downtown, that we've had for several years. Some of those have have reached a point or reached an age where they are now retiring or retired.
That's right.
Of course, you know, Officer
Brand.
Wetton.
Yeah.
We were a big cheerleader of his as
Yes,
well.
me too.
He did a lot for our neighborhood.
Right.
But, you know, the challenge is you know, we have the addition of the first watch, which is a good thing. We have a lot of new officers, which is a good thing.
Right.
You know, the challenge with downtown is it's changed so much that, you know, maybe officers that have been here a long time.
We're familiar, but the new ones are not. Yeah.
But they don't recognize the changes yet. You know, some of the young officers and some of the new officers are actually, even though they're rookies and they've got a lot to learn, they're coming in with very fresh perspective.
Oh, that's good to hear.
You're seeing it kind of
I like
how
that.
it is today
instead
of how it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see a lot of rookies. I'm excited to see a lot of new young people.
Okay, great. Great. That's good for them to hear.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're gonna put this clip on the intranet for all the departments to hear and see. So officers like to hear a few kind words. You know, I mean, just to stay encouraged. So that's good to share with.
We're
with
very
officers.
very pro police because the only way we are going to, you know, get to the next level downtown and fix some of these tough subjects, such as the quality of life and the panhandling, we need our police, and we need our police to be engaged with the community.
Right.
Concerning is we've had, you know, several muggings over here, and you know, we have guys that get off work at the restaurants that are over here, the hotels, you know, we've got El Central College with the students. They walk over to the Dart, and you know, we've got a lot of issues with the Dart, and
it's almost where, since you're from New York, I'm trying to draw some comparisons. In New York, they have what we used to have, but we lost it in the 80s, what's called point control. There's a cop on every block.
Yeah.
And actually, it's their rookie cops in New York that get assigned to Manhattan. And their beat is like a square block. And everything that's happening on that beat, they get a team to come handle it. So you can't like be somewhere and not see a cop right in the core of Manhattan.
And you also need a ticket.
Yes, to get on, and you don't here.
And you don't.
Yeah. That may be something we have to negotiate with DART because this problem is going to persist. But, you know, of course, we'd have to figure out a way to shuffle our deck to get that type of staffing down here.
Yeah.
But we got some ideas. So
even communication with the DART. You know, I know I attend a lot of community meetings. You know, of course, we just had the public safety meeting on Monday, and you know, one of the things that came up was from a DPD standpoint, it showed that there were, you know, X number of incidents, but you know, if it's on DART property, you know, that's a separate reporting system. So how do we take and have a better idea of what some of the high times or types of offenses are, or activity when they're not
use data
when
to
they're not
drive
merged.
and figure out when can you be the most effective to send the right message. Anything coming up this trip coming from town?
Of course, we have the Main Street Garden, and we've got the Commerce 7-Eleven 2608. And again, you know, probably the three, 7-Eleven Commerce bad, 7-Eleven Deep Elm bad, 7-Eleven Ross bad, and then probably Akron and Elm, Irvay are probably next, but I would rank them in that order. You know, the Commerce, what you've got here is it's so close to the stew pot and the bridge. So you see a lot of the people from the stew pot and the bridge coming over to this 7-Eleven. They'll panhandle out front, and then they will go across to Main Street Garden. You know, something that's concerning about Main Street Garden is Main Street Garden has become almost segregated. Where you've got a high concentration of homeless on this edge of the park, and you have the residents and the downtown proper on the other side.
You can just keep rolling,
so, you know,
7-Eleven has been a friend of DPD. They have really support. I know their CEO.
We need their help.
He's really, and so initially they may need more of DPD's help. So I'm going to suggest something that really is going to be on our dime as far as commitment of resources first, and then see if we can stabilize what's happening through a Dallas Police Department effort, because they've been so kind and supportive to the Dallas Police Department. So I want to make sure that that's communicated to everybody, that they have been more than willing to help our department in a lot of different efforts, not just with, I'm not talking about just
Again, it's education.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and do a program I've been thinking about since all of this discussion started back last summer. It kind of got to, kind of a high level. But I noticed 7-Eleven has kind of been much of a victim as well to what's happened downtown. So stand by for something.
7-Eleven is such an opportunity. You have
Yeah.
so many people moving downtown,
Right.
New businesses wanting to locate downtown. I know they want to expand downtown.
Yeah.
We need companies and businesses like 7-Eleven to be a partner in the solution.
Yep.
We really do.
I got something for them to help, because I really like their CEO. I really like that company, and so I want to offer them some help immediately on a
Let
project.
me know how I can help.
I will.
If there's anything I can do,
all right, good.
I would love to be a part of the conversation.
Good. I'll be sitting with my staff early next week and get something on the ground pretty quick. Try to get these 7-Elevens back safe for you all. So we're back. So
we're back.
Before we finish, I bought your coffee, but you did offer free lunch one day.
I need to.
But let me improve. Let me improve things first. I don't want to be burdensome. So let us improve, and then we'll come back for lunch as a follow-up.
I would love to have lunch.
And then we'll sit and talk.
The Green Door.
And see what the results have been.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tanya.
Thank you for
I really appreciate your time. I know you could have been doing a lot of things this evening on a Friday, having a good time, but thank you for setting out the time for us.
You are so important to us, and we need your leadership. So I appreciate you taking the time.
You got it, Tanya.
To get to know downtown.
Right. Take care.